I know the world of PoE is kind of on fire at the moment. Community's pretty incensed, and I said I probably wouldn't make very many normal videos, but I figured that if this was something that came up in the process of me working on getting this feedback and stuff that I want to post, I figured I might as well post it just because. You might know that the economy is kind of in shambles right now, and Heist is still one of the few refuges that you can still make a decent amount of currency from. However, strategy is a tiny bit different. Not a bunch, but there's definitely some little changes that you can make to get some significant currency in this patch. So I want to talk about that. And remember, boys, if you're enjoying this content, give this video a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit that notification bell to stay up to date with all the latest videos. Without further ado, let's get into it. Right, so I'm going to try to go over this quickly here. I am on my full dedicated heist build. I'm trying to gather enough currency with this build to be able to make a new one so that I can actually go and test everything adequately. I was able to do like yellow maps and early reds on this character when it was still Poisonous Concoction, but that is no longer the case, so I kind of need a new one to be able to go do stuff. Now, the major difference that I am doing compared to my like in-game strategy from last league is that instead of ignoring absolutely everything, I am opening some chests in some rooms. Now, judging by my inventory, you can probably tell what that room is, but the whole idea here is that there are only a few rooms that are actually worthwhile to interact with in any meaningful way right now. So if we run over to Wakano here, open up a random blueprint, the idea here is that in this patch, the economy is a little bit weird and currency is a little bit hard to come by. So the maximum prices of unusual gems have lowered pretty substantially. Now, that's mainly because these, like pieces of currency like a divine orb is just worth a ton right now. However, in previous leagues, like some of the unusual gems are getting up to like 6, 7, 8 exalt, sometimes more than that. Right now, the maximum amount of currency that any of the unusual gems gets up to is like 2 to 3 divine at most. So smaller chests and smaller rooms become more important. Now, the main one and the only room that as of currently right now you should be revealing beyond the main ones with Shiana are divination card rooms. That's it. They're the only ones that are right now guaranteed to make you get your money back for investment. The idea here is if you look at like a random currency room or any of these other rooms, right? It's around 1,400 to 1,600 coins to be able to unlock this. And right now, the average cost that I am buying coins in bulk is around 450 for 1 chaos. So what that means is a room like this, which is 1651, is going to cost around 4 chaos for me to realistically be able to reveal. Now, if I think about it, am I going to be able to get on average 4 chaos worth of returns from a currency room? Absolutely not. Even if you're stretching out the average and you're factoring in like a divine every few hours, which is very generous, by the way. I've found maybe 2 divines in the entire league doing this. It still doesn't even out to being worth it. However, in a divination card room, if you're only spending 3 to 4 chaos, on average, a divination card room is going to have like a minimum of 6 stack decks. Stack decks right now are selling for like 1.2 to 1.5 chaos. The market kind of fluctuates a little bit. You can also sell them by divines, which has a little bit better rate right now, but do the own math yourself. What this means is that you spend 3 to 4 chaos to open the room, and on average, you get like 6 to 10 chaos back. This is pretty decent, and sometimes you can get even way more than that if you have like Vendiri with you and the currency duplicates. I've walked out of a room with like 15 to 20 chaos worth of just like stack decks and other small cards before, only paying 3 to 4 to get in. Now, that's not to say that you should only go into stack deck rooms. I think that if there are currency rooms that are already open, meaning ones that have already been revealed for you, going into a currency room is worth it. And right now, going into a metamorph room is also worth it. I would never reveal these at the current moment because on average, they're not worth it. But if it's already open and it's already free, you might as well hop in. Selling metamorph catalysts in bulk is some pretty good currency right now. Currency rooms can drop divines. They can drop a couple chaos here and there, and they tend to be pretty quick. Most of the time, the chests just open like that anyways. And Karst is very, very fast at opening up currency chests. So that is my current strategy. Nothing else realistically has really changed. The character just has the same gear that I normally would make. I did get some nicer rings this time around, but I've got some pretty basic gear. I don't have all of the items that my character needs yet. I'm even like missing a jewel slot and a couple other things, but we are doing pretty well on currency. Now, my current strategy right now is I'm just going to build up stacked decks as much as I can until I'm ready to swap over to that other character, wait for the price of stacked decks to go up a little bit, and then offload them for divines at the maximum rate that I can get whenever that happens to be. Now, I have a pretty decent amount of stuff that I've sold. I've sold a lot of gems. They do sell, you just really need to be aggressive with the pricing. Like every single time I come back into this tab, I look at the price of these gems, and like, for example, right now, someone undercut me by 1, so I'm going to undercut them by 1 as well. You can just leave it up and eventually it will sell, but a lot of the time, the way that this goes is that if 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people are all undercutting at the same time, that price can drastically drop really fast. So I always try to be on the cutting edge of that, but if the price does drop like really, really drastically, I'll just pull back for a little bit because obviously I'm losing money to do that. But currency gains have been pretty good. This is only from me playing a couple hours, maybe like 3 or 4 hours for the last 2 days or so. I've just been trying to gather up a little bit of currency. Hasn't been too bad. Everything else is about the same. I will show you a blueprint real quick. So we'll just go through here. I'll show you pretty much how it feels to run the blueprints right now. Nothing is really different, but one thing that I will say is that I know that a lot of people have been contacting me confused about how the finalized heist build actually functions and how they can actually open chests and such. And it's not really any different than when you're opening up a door. Whenever you're opening up a door, you kind of have to, you know, drop down the frost walls, put down the totem, and get things to get taunted and all that kind of stuff. You still do have to do that to be able to get them to open the chests. Now, there are a couple different jewels or gems, whatever you want to call them right now, that are worth a little bit more than last league. So you are going to have to learn the next list here. Like, there's a few different ones. Like, for some reason, some of the mana jewels went up in price a little bit, but I think those are going back down. But other than that, most of the jewels that were good last league, or gems, I'm never going to be able to say it right. Most of the gems from last league are still the expensive gems from this league. It's just the top-end prices maybe aren't as good as they used to be, unfortunately. But like I said, if you add in all of these extra rooms and you do all the extra stuff, the amount of currency that you get out of it is still more than fine. Now, one thing of note is that it is almost never worth it to open these little small chests. Only time that I would say it might be worth opening one of the little small chests is if you are, like, say if there's like a door that needs to be opened in front of you and you are waiting for one of the rogues to open a door and there's a little chest nearby, then you can grab it. But beyond that, really isn't worth it to be opening pretty much anything else. Now, one trick that I do most of the time, another thing that I've seen a couple people ask me about, is forgetting, like, if they don't open up a heist contract thing, they like forget which ones they've gone in. I typically go the top right corner first, and then I go clockwise around in a circle, and you can always tell, like, if you open up these doors, you'll see that like this little grate is open. That's one way that you can tell, but I always kind of just go in the same exact pattern every single time. It helps me stay consistent, and there you see someone is wanting to buy in bulk for me. Now, this does actually bring up a good point. I suggest that as of right now, you should always immediately exit the blueprint if you can when someone messages you, because it seems like people are really, really willing to just jump to the next person whenever that is at any given time. So, there's 2 more. So that is a little bit of an example of selling these in bulk. I'm able, since I'm selling them in such large bulk, to price them a lot higher than what most other people are pricing them. This is something I said in my previous videos. I do price them like 20 to 25% higher than whatever the minimum price is, and they always sell. Simply because someone who is using lots of these to do something really doesn't care about an extra 5 to 10 chaos on the price of something that's like 40 to 80 chaos, right? They don't really care if they're able to save a bunch of time getting a bunch of them all in one stack. So I tend to sell them in large quantity, and they always manage to sell. But the point that I was trying to get across before was that right now it just feels like people are not very patient most of the time. So what I suggest that you do is that I suggest that if someone does message you and you are in the middle of a blueprint, I do suggest you take the invitation immediately, like you invite them as quickly as you can. You just say, hey, exiting blueprint, and then run out immediately. Unless you have just like recently opened up, like, you know, the final item or something, I would suggest just leaving immediately like that. People will be patient if you say, hey, I'm doing this, it's gonna take me a moment. But if you kind of just ghost them and just don't say anything, and it's been like 2 minutes since they entered the party, a lot of the time they're just gonna straight leave. You can kind of see how I was opening up those chests. You just put down the frost walls so that the rogue can do their job. And if you need to, you can always drop down the decoy totem and just wait for it to taunt. That's pretty much it. There's not really a lot of differences. I just know there's some of those little tricks that people I may have not said in my previous videos, but I wanted to at least put those through here because it's something that I've been doing a decent amount of recently. But it really is unfortunate what's going on with the economy right now because it's really, really hard to get currency most of the time unless it's just straight flat drops. I've come back into the game and it seems like things are a little better, but it's definitely not better than it was in 3.18 in my opinion, but that's a whole blueprint. So that's the idea. Run in, run out, just get only the things that matter. We're focusing on those divination card chests, and if there are currency or metamorph rooms, we're opening those as well. And that's gonna be it for the video. Now, I do want to give a shout out to my patrons. I know you guys haven't gotten as much content as I would have liked to give you. Thank you for being patient. I will get to it as soon as we're done with all this feedback and everything, so look forward to that. And I will be making some normal videos if there's any topics that come up, but I really am going to try to focus on, you know, getting through all this different content, seeing what's worth what. The new patch that came out about the time that I'm recording this video right now with Arch Nemesis changes and some of the changes to the Lake of Calandra. Hopefully there's some positives in there. I'll report back on that whenever I can. So remember, boys, if you're enjoying this content, make sure to give this video a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit that notification bell to stay up to date with all the latest videos. And stay safe out there in raid class, and I'll see you guys in the next video.